Welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm, having a successful accounting, bookkeeping, and tax business. I'm Roger Knecht, your host, and this show is dedicated to helping accounting professionals confidently and competently offer quality accounting services while getting paid what they're worth. Each episode is conversational with tips and tricks to help you apply the principles of MAP as they relate to starting and building your successful accounting business. Topics include things such as marketing, lead generation, ideal clients, pricing strategies, accounting services, value-added services, workflow, practice management, staff training, client onboarding processes, client retention strategies, and most importantly, things that you can do to actually build the premier accounting firm in your area. This podcast will help you become an accountrepreneur to work on your business with the advice from the experts. Today, I'm excited to have with us on the show Geraldine Carter. Geraldine happens to be the founder of She Thinks Big Coaching, where she helps CPAs get out of the accounting rut. Her clients routinely double their margins in 12 months or less while working fewer hours. Geraldine holds a Bachelor's of Science in Engineering from Cornell University and is the co-founder and CFO of a company where her cash flow forecasting models resulted in millions of dollars for climate change efforts. In her free time, she can be found mountain biking in the forested trails or running after her two small children in her hometown of Missoula, Montana. So, Geraldine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Roger. I'm delighted to be here.
This is going to be so much fun. So, first of all, before we get started, how old are your children? You said two small children. I'm so curious how old they are.
They are 5 and 2, so they have piles of energy.
So you know what? That counts in my book as small children. So you're good there. As for energy, you're right. At that age, they can do so much more than we can oftentimes. So good job being the parent that you are. Here's the fun thing. I want to ask how you got into accounting. You have an engineering degree. You're doing business coaching for accounting CPA firms and so forth. How did you get introduced into accounting to get into this position?
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying that I'm not an accountant, never will be, and tax gives me hives. I got here because when I started a business with my friends, like, no joke, honestly, it makes me, I don't cry about a lot of things, but taxes makes me cry. I just don't understand it. I speak 3 languages and I cannot follow what the IRS is talking about. So anyways, I got here because I started a business with a friend, and because I had the engineering degree, I was the one who fell into the role of managing the numbers, the money, and the math.
Okay.
And I hired our accountant, who was a CPA, and she was a lovely woman. But when she would give me the profit and loss and the balance sheet at the end of the month, I would immediately start fighting with her over, what is this? And she would walk me through the math of the profit and loss. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get the math. But why are you talking to me about April? It's June, and I need to know how much cash we need to have to cover our expenses in August and how much money I'm going to have left over for marketing and how much I can spend on marketing to generate the cash I need to cover the expenses. And this would always result in a sort of blank-eyed, blink stare, followed by something that was like, well, that's not what I do.
So what you're describing there, I have experienced on so many occasions in so many different settings. So keep going. This is really good.
So, what ended up happening was, I just got frustrated and I was like, fine, I'll make my own. I didn't know at the time that what I was making was a cash flow forecast. I didn't know what that word was, but I was just building out a spreadsheet based on the P&L and trying to project it forward using a spreadsheet. It was super rudimentary, but that way I could at least develop some scenarios and try and figure out, okay, if we only bring in this much, that's going to make the numbers look this way. If we do really well, it's going to mean, the numbers are going to look like this other thing, and then we'll have room to hire. And then if we kind of take the average, then this is the position. And I would present that to my co-founder, my business partner, and be like, okay, here's what we're looking at going forward. And we would base decisions off of that. But, I was a new business owner and I sort of hardly knew what I was doing. I was kind of making it up. And what was really frustrating for me was that I wasn't getting the sort of financial guidance. Not that I needed her to make the decisions for me, but I needed her numbers to help me do, and I didn't know this word either, scenario planning. I didn't realize I was doing scenario planning, but that's what I was doing. And what I wanted was her guidance, helping me think about how helping me think about the numbers and helping me project like, oh, if you're going to hire this person, Geraldine, if they're going to be a contractor, you want to think about X, Y, and Z. If they're going to be an employee, you want to think about these other ancillary expenses that you probably don't know about, and the taxes and the Social Security and so on, the cost of an employee. All the stuff that I, as a business owner, had no idea about. But of course she would know, but that's not where her head was. Her head was just in reporting back to me what had already happened. And I was like, great, I already know that. I've already looked at the bank account and the bank statement and the credit card statements. I already know what I've spent. So what I really need from you is, how do I think about the numbers going forward? And we couldn't ever meet on those questions and answers. There was just too much daylight between us. So finally we parted ways, and we found somebody different, which is, where I think a lot of accountants are now. They don't realize the risk of losing their best clients because they're still frankly reporting on the past. And I know there are a lot of accountants who want to be doing higher level work, but they're just caught in a trap of traditional thinking. No fault of their own. It's what they've been taught. It's how they've been taught how to think. But it's challenging to get out of it because there are some challenges, some business model challenges that are endemic to the profession. So
yep.
I have hope for accountants. I help them get out of this sort of trap that they're in, to be providing their best clients with the very kind of expertise and guidance that the accountant wants to be providing, but they just don't know what the stepping stones are from here to there.
Yep. As you're describing that, I have a client. I don't know if this makes a lot of sense, but I'll just explain it as is. The client, we do business coaching with them. We're actually right now planning the coming year, and we're doing some budgeting and forecasting. And for that, we need the accounting information. And we actually don't do the accounting for the company. So they're reaching out to their accounting. It's an outside company that's doing it for the financials. And we repeatedly are getting pushed off. And they were supposed to have the information this last Wednesday, did not still have the accounting information. And I heard, as you were describing, this person who wanted to discuss April's financials in the month of June when you're trying to get cash flow ready for August. And it's quite interesting. The accountant is very excited. Here's all the work. It took all this energy and effort to create the financials. There's a story here. I want to tell you the story. Did you notice these trends? There's things that they want to bring to our attention about April, but we're so done. We're so past April. We're so on to August that as business owners, we're wanting to actually talk about the relevance of, here's what's coming down the pike. I need to get ready for this. And they want to talk about this history that took them so much effort to create and the story to tell. And it's quite interesting. It's the accountant's version of, I have a story that's very alluring and there's something here that I'd like you to see and know. But we're to the point that we're saying, okay, therefore what? And I want to tie this back into what you just shared. We need to be, as accounting professionals, providing our perspective on the numbers because we bring a unique look to what the financials are telling. But at the same time, we have to remember that we've got to put it in a relevant context that the business owner can be using to make informed business decisions. And if they're not able to answer the questions that they have with the information we're providing, we're not providing the right information. So I'm loving this conversation that we're having here. So tell me, what is it that the accountant is missing that the business owner needs? Where do we miss? Where are we not? You said you didn't see eye to eye. There was too much daylight between you and the other accountant. What was missing? What is it that we need to understand?
Well, fundamentally, business owners want two things. They want more money and they want more time. So the accountant needs to figure out, if the accountant wants to provide value to their clients, they will try and understand what is going to move the needle meaningfully on both of those things.
Yeah.
And where I think accountants miss is, so I totally agree with you that there is a story in the numbers that is useful for business owners to learn, to understand and read that story. But where they miss is that they don't know how to write the next chapter.
It's that therefore what statement.
It's therefore what, and it's what's going to drive profitability in your business. What are the things where is profitability coming from is an important thing to know, and you get that from the history. But now what do we do? Therefore, what? What do we do with the fact that we know that profitability comes from these 3 revenue streams and not from these other 6 revenue streams? So therefore, what's going to happen if we focus on these 3 revenue streams and we phase out these other 6 over time? And let's run the scenarios and see what the numbers show. Where I think the accountant gets stuck is that they take on excess ownership of that decision that is made by the business owner, and they take on excess responsibility for that decision. Whereas what I think they simply need to do is say, let's run the scenarios to the best of our knowledge with the numbers that we currently know. Here's what the numbers yield looking forward if we roll stuff forward. Here's what it's going to look like. Now, I can't guarantee the future. I can't guarantee the sun's going to come up tomorrow. I can't guarantee that neither of us is going to get COVID and end up on a ventilator. I can't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
But given what we know right now, here's what we're looking at. And you make the choice about what you think is best. I think accountants get stuck believing that somehow they are on the hook for the business owner's decisions. Whereas if they draw the line firmly in the sand at here's the information, here are the forecasts, here are the scenarios, here's what the numbers show if we roll it forward, given what we know, then that's clean. And that's what the business owner is looking for. They're not looking for guarantees from you. They're not looking for a guarantee that everything is going to play out exactly. They simply want the financial clarity from somebody who is able to run the numbers in that way. And the business owner is just, their head is in some other place. They don't have the ability to roll things forward, to build out the spreadsheet, to create the scenarios, the most likely, least likely, best case, middle case, blue sky. They can't do that. They need you for that. And that is immensely valuable to them because it saves them time. It saves them worry. It saves them from standing still, which many people will do in the absence of information. They will just park their car.
Yes.
And it helps them make a reasonably informed decision that they can then assess as they continue moving. So where accountants miss, back to this question, one place where I think they're missing is understanding what drives value in their clients' businesses and being able to provide that information that will help that business owner make great decisions, and just appreciating just how valuable that is for the business owner. I think most accountants don't realize that what's easy for them is impossible for business owners.
Well, we're looking at it through such an analytical prism. We're seeing things just as they are. They're just numbers. And from the numbers, we can make a lot of very rational, non-emotional decisions that are pretty good decisions. But what the business owner is using is this information to complement other things that they know. They know the culture within their company. They know the morale in their company. They know the market that they're working in. There's a lot of influences that will impact their decision. There's a lot of decisions that may be right, but the timing may not be correct. And we need to still make that same change or adjustment based on the numbers, but the timing might be, we're not going to do it this month. We're going to do it next month. I've got to get a few things in place first. So I like how you're describing this. So here's a question. You admitted at the very, very beginning, you're not an accountant. And I think that's awesome that you're coming and working with the accounting profession. But what has surprised you as you've begun working with the accounting profession? You've kind of peeked behind the curtain and gotten to know us as who we are. What kind of shocked you when you have that different perspective than having been formally trained as an accounting professional yourself?
I was surprised that there are a few keys that accountants and CPAs don't know about business. I think a lot of business owners also are under this spell that because accountants and CPAs work with business owners, that they automatically know a lot about business.
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised that accountants are still billing by the hour and that this is a trap for their businesses. I was really surprised at how costly it is for them to be so-called experts in a wide variety or a broad range of fields, and how much that keeps them imprisoned in their own business, being broad generalists who, when you're broad, you effectively have shallow expertise. So I was really surprised by just how much these two keys hourly billing and so-called broad range of expertise. How the two of them, when braided together, create a situation where the accountant is trapped on a hamster wheel, working like mad, chasing clients and putting out fires all the time, backed up against a deadline, overworked, and making far less money than they are capable of making, while being, well-educated, working hard, working so many hours, and that's not getting them where they need to go. And I went, oh, wow, this is really interesting that people who are exposed to so much business are still stuck on these two basic fundamental pieces of business that are preventing them from moving forward. The third thing that they're missing is understanding their value proposition. And when you have a very nebulous value proposition, namely, we do accurate books and we're trustworthy and we have integrity, that's a very sort of bleh value proposition. So when taken together, these things keep them stuck. And I was really surprised that they were stuck here at the sort of fundamental levels of business. And I'm also surprised at when you unlock these three things together, it just changes the game so quickly.
I liked how you've defined those three things, because as you were speaking, one of the things that came to mind is so many of the accounting professionals that I work with as I consult and advise them in running their businesses, the thing I experience is they are oftentimes more excited and passionate about the clients they work with, the numbers and the businesses. And what happens is they neglect and don't work on their business. And therefore, they're not addressing such things as you've described, becoming an expert in a specific area, pricing their services effectively. There's so many things that they need to be doing in their own business as they work on their companies. What are they doing to actually plan for the future? How are they becoming more and more engaged in the market that they're in? There are so many things that they could be doing to work on their own businesses if they could just take a moment and pause and take some of that energy that they actually put into the work that they do for their clients and direct it to their own company and put on that hat of accountrepreneur, as I describe it, and literally do more than just the accounting, actually run their own company. And so I like how you just said that. So I brought up passion. What are some of the things that you've been passionate about when you're working with the CPAs that you do, the accountants that you do, that really you feel meant you had to put your foot down and really help them see a different perspective?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things is seeing the light go on for my clients. When I say things like, when they say, I put my prices up from $350 on a personal return to $400. And I say to them, I don't want you to put your prices up, or that's sort of British, raise your prices to $400. I want you to raise that to $500. And I also want you to not take on any more individual returns. And they sort of push away from the desk and they go, wait, what? What did you just say? I'm an accountant and you want me to stop taking on personal returns? And I say, yep, because how many of those personal returns do you have? And they say, maybe like 50 or 100. Let's just say 100, right? So that's if they have $50,000, right? So I say, look, that's $50,000 worth of business. You and I 3 weeks ago just defined your virtual CFO advisory, and you now have 2 clients who are interested, one of them at $60,000 and one at $90,000. And this is actually a client example. This is the conversation we've been having for the last 6-8 weeks.
Okay.
A $60,000 and a $90,000 client. 2 different clients, $150,000 worth of business. And you are putting sand in the gears of your business by taking on personal returns at $350, because you can either have 100 clients, which, napkin math, $50,000, or you can have 2 clients for $150,000. And when I present it like that, they go, they're accountants, they go, oh, right, of course. But what's difficult for them is to let go of what I call trap money. And trap money is the kind of money that is good money. They'll protest and they'll say, but that return only takes me 20 minutes. If I charge $350 for it, that's good money. But that's trap money because it's keeping you on the hamster wheel. It's keeping you backed up against the wall with deadlines, putting out client fires. When I suggest to them that they're stepping over $1 million to save $1,000 or to make $50,000, that's when the light goes on. They go, oh, right. And you can see their mind expand about where they can take their business and where they want to be taking their business. Because where they want to be taking it is, I want to sell for $3 million in 7 years. They're not going to get there on doing personal returns for $350 if they want to have a reasonably small firm. If they want to have a tax factory, then by all means, you can do it that way. But most of them want to remain small. They don't want to be managing a giant staff because they're introverts and they like to kind of not be in contact with a ton of people. So you asked me what I was passionate about. What really lights me up is when my clients sort of all of a sudden see their tax world, their practice in a whole different way with a whole different set of numbers. And they go, oh my God, I could be doing it that way. And then they have this momentary crisis where they're like, but I've been doing it this way for 15 years. And they sort of have this moment of like, oh my God, I can't believe I've been killing myself for 15 years. Why didn't I know this 15 years ago? And my answer to that is, look, you've got to run the bases. You can't just run right to third base. You've got to start at first. You go to second. You couldn't have gotten here without first putting in 15 years of progress. You couldn't have started at a VCFO client at $90,000. The reason you can do that now is because you've put in 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears. So take heart. This is the normal path.
Yes.
You're all good. It is a journey.
It's a journey. Yeah, that's a journey. You know, what you're describing is so familiar because as I've also worked with so many accounting professionals, they get so caught up in what we refer to as the owner's trap. And it's that mentality of nobody can do it as well as I can and so forth. But what you described as well is the idea that they actually have a job. What they're kind of drawn to is the allure of I own and I run my own business. But at the end of the day, the task that they're performing is basically a job level task. And what we want to do is enlighten them, just as you described, to have vision again, get excited about their business, what it can become, what it could be. And all of a sudden, what those little traps are that you're describing start to become either things that they could delegate. You could hire somebody to do these things. And it allows you to get more passionate, perhaps about, like you were describing, the advisory work that they may be able to do now that they have this 15 years of experience. So all of a sudden, what it is it's trying to help them realize that the business can evolve. And the way we try and kind of illustrate it for our clients is we tell them that their business goes through a stage just like a child does. It goes from that infant dependent stage to a teenage, more free, and then adult or a young adult type stage where I just married off literally this last Saturday, my youngest daughter. And I looked at pictures as I was creating a video montage of her life, and I'm looking at all these young child pictures that seemed like only yesterday, and here she is now getting married and moving out. I'm technically, as we're recording this, sitting in her now vacant bedroom that was vacated no more than 4 days ago. So, this is an evolution, and so just like a business, we in our lives go through these transitions, and we just need to kind of, like you're describing, find people like ourselves, our coaching services, to kind of recalibrate and really see what that next chapter can bring for us. So I love what we're discussing here. This is so great. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break off onto a sponsor mention, and then I'm going to come right back to what we're discussing because I think there's so much more here to share. But I want to share with everyone that Universal Accounting Center is sponsoring today's episode. And they're making available a book called In the Black. In the Black happens to be a guide for business owners to actually focus on the 9 principles of things that you can be doing to be profitable in your companies. So these 9 principles are in fact meant to help you focus on the short-term, mid-term, and long-term needs of your business so that you can actually put profit first as a priority where it is deliberate and intentional, using the principles from the book in the black. So for this, you just need to go to the episode description, and there you'll find the information you need to link on and get your free copy of the book In the Black. These principles are applicable to your business and as well can be shared with your clients and help you in the advisory services that you're providing so that your clients can also implement these strategies, these 9 principles to be in the black. So with that, go to the episode description and get your copy now. So Geraldine, this is so fun talking to you. What do you love most about your job?
Well, I love working with clients who are forward thinking, who have big dreams about what they want to create. And they realize that time is getting short in their life. They have fewer sunsets left. What is that phrase? They've got fewer left in the bank than they have behind them. And they're starting to see like, oh my gosh, if I can't keep going the way that I've been going and expect to get to where I want to go. I set out to do something and I'm not making the progress that I thought I was going to make. It's not coming as easily as I wanted. Something needs to change. And when we sit down and have conversations, a lot of times it just goes, we get into strategy, we get into pricing and stuff like that. But somewhere in conversation, they will drop a nugget that they're not even thinking about. They'll just say it in passing. And they will say, if I could just have my way, if I could have what I really wanted, what would be really amazing is if I could be sitting on the beach every day at 3:00, reading stories to my grandkids, watching them play in the waves, digging in the sand, making sandcastles, and have my weekends free and never have a client call me on the weekends. And if I could be making $1 million of gross revenue in my business, that means I could take home, let's just call it 500,000, and I'd be set. Everything would be good. That would be amazing. Right? And when I hear the words, what would be amazing is if, that's when I sit up straight and I grab my pen, because they unleash something that they haven't said out loud for years and that they haven't let themselves think about because they haven't been able to figure out what the path is to get there. So they just put the dream up on the shelf and it just collects dust. When we get it, they take it down inadvertently and we look at it, now we have something rich to work with. And out of the dream falls the strategy. And when my clients have finally given themselves permission to own their dream and actually work on it, which kind of gives them the shivers because they're a little scared, because what if it doesn't come true, right? So it's easier to just not dream. When we actually set about working on that dream, that just lights me up like no tomorrow. There's something beyond, like, there's something about the human experience and what we were put here to do, what we were meant to do, that I can't describe in papers, spreadsheets, whatever. It's like, it's something inside, like it gets into the woo, right? Mm-hmm. But we know that we were put here to do more than just crank out spreadsheets and financials. And when we can tap into that deeper thing that drives our clients, it's fulfilling beyond what words can describe.
So what you're describing there, I describe or define as engage and manifest. It's that part when we're working with our client where we provide a safe space for them to literally share some things that they may never have verbally said to anyone else. It's in their mind. It's getting to their why. It's getting into their passion and letting them basically have permission to share it. And as you get into that, for some people, it's an emotional experience. It's a release. For some people, it's fun and exhilarating because they actually get to share what they're trying to do, what they're working so hard to accomplish. And here you are listening to all that. And you're right. You start to get that pen and paper out to take notes because this is what's driving them. This is the energy. You're tapping into their battery pack that keeps them alive every day and gives them basically the purpose to come to work and do what they already do. So what we're doing is you're getting them to now open up and write down all these things that are so important to them, and they've yet to share it with really anyone else but you. And here you are getting that information, personal, professional, what they're trying to do. And it's going to be now that information that we're going to go back and build the business around. And it's empowering because so many people have never experienced that. And it's very therapeutic. It's exhilarating because they are in that safe space, sharing something that's basically making them vulnerable. And like you said, there is a vulnerability to, well, now I've shared it. what if it doesn't happen? Am I a failure? And you really get into some very delicate things, but nonetheless, that is the energy that really basically propels them through the challenges that they're going to face to be successful. So I define that. I describe it as passion. That's their passion. And Simon Sinek will call it the why. It's all those types of things. But the point is what you're sharing there. I love it because it's the emotional element of it's behind the scenes of everything else that's going on.
Yeah, well put. And we try and, because accountants are intelligent, cerebral, thoughtful, intellectual people, we have to get them out of their minds. We have to get them out of their brains. We have to get them out of thinking. And can be a little bit disarming or kind of make them feel like they're standing on a tray of Jell-O to get them, accessing a different place inside of them. But that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
And, we're not here to be cerebral beings. We're not just brains with a set of feet that carry our brains around. You could think of the sort of absent-minded professor, if that helps. And, we're here to be whole people and to bring our best to our time on this earth, right? Without getting a little too into the sort of universe woo stuff. But that's what we're here for. And if we don't, the absence of stepping into that, I think we run the risk of looking back on our lives and feeling like we've left something on the table.
Yeah.
And what my clients want really is to make a meaningful difference in their clients' lives. And instead, what they're doing is, just paperwork and mouse clicking and satisfying requirements and, sending information to banks and stuff. And that's not the fulfilling work. They want to be making a meaningful difference, creating profitability in clients' businesses, helping their clients be more efficient, get their time back, and so on. And through these steps, we can get them doing that in a powerful way. And it makes a huge difference in their lives, in their businesses, and all the rest.
So you might have answered this a little earlier, and I don't think it's going to be the same answer as why I'm asking the question. But when you're working with your clients, what do you find that they sometimes let get in the way? What are some of the things that you've witnessed where you're like, get out of your own way? What are some of the things that you've seen that have held people back from achieving their potential that you're helping them to try and achieve? What holds them back from actually tapping into what it is you're trying to help them see?
So there are a couple driving forces that I see quite commonly. One of them is guilt.
Okay.
Guilt of letting go of clients, like little old lady syndrome. They don't want to let go of the client that they've had for 30 years. They feel guilty. And I'm not going to come after my clients for, holding close to their chest a few of their favorites. But if you want to grow your business, you're going to have to let go of probably 30% of your clients at the outset, if not more over time. And you've got to let go. You cannot let guilt drive the bus. If you let guilt drive the bus, you will stay exactly where you are. The second one is fear, and fear can manifest in all kinds of different places. There is the fear of failure, which is the dog that's chasing your heels that kind of keeps you from, like you were saying earlier, working on your business, carving out time, dedicating time to work on your business. But a more invisible one is fear of success. And fear of success is stuff that sounds like, and this is one of my clients, that client is too big for me. She would never want to work with me.
Yep.
I don't know what I would do if a $10 million client knocked on my door. I don't know if I would know what to say to her. I could never take her on. I'm not capable. And because of these beliefs, they will set themselves up to never have that $10 million client walk in the door. And they will not carve out the time or anticipate what it would mean if that $10 million client walked in the door. So the fear of success is really a force that keeps them firmly locked in their place, locked in place where it's safer. At least it has the appearance of being safer. I think the risk is that you don't fulfill your potential. But it certainly has the appearance of feeling safer and more comfortable. So the fear of failure is quite poignant, or acute. But the fear of failure, the fear of success, is a powerful hindrance that will, you said getting in your own way. It's firmly implanted right in front of them. It keeps them from moving forward.
I love it. The way I describe some of what you just shared is the phrase self-doubt. I think we self-sabotage, and it's basically in our own minds that we're having that conflict. And working with someone like yourself or myself, it allows us to actually address those things. When you work with a coach, one of the things that happens is you start to see things differently. There's a new perspective that comes on life and the decisions you're making. And what you're describing with the self-sabotaging, as I'm going to describe it, is you can get that out of the way and actually take on that $10 million client and be the expert that they need and really step into the challenge. And in some essence, it's the fake it till you make it. It's the imposter syndrome that you're going to now address. But nonetheless, in order for you to grow, you have to get out of your comfort zones. You've got to now do things that you haven't done before. And I remember distinctly, there was that moment where a client needed me to help do something that I hadn't done before. And I had to have the confidence, the wherewithal that I could deliver. And really at that moment, I had to put in the energy, to put in the effort. I had to put in the research so that I could come to the table and be who they needed me to be. But after that experience, notice I had gone into something new, got the training I needed, got the confidence I needed to deliver, and then I had it to go to the next person with. So we can grow, we can do better. So I'm really excited about that. So I've got another question for you. Working with your clients as you do, one of the things that I personally think is important is trying to figure out what for our business, your business, is helpful and where you're making a difference. So I'm just going to ask, what is something that in the coming year, personally and professionally, you have goals for yourself?
You're talking about me for my business, not me for my client's business.
I'm talking about you. That's right. You for yourself, personally and professionally. Share with us something that you're striving to now work on.
Sure. So one of the things that I find really interesting is pricing, and pricing, not just pricing psychology, but pricing strategy. And I think that it's the single biggest thing, and it's the fastest thing that I see my clients do to meaningfully move the needle in their businesses. So because it's the single fastest thing that it's the key that they can turn right away, that will have the biggest lever, make the biggest difference in the shortest amount of time. And because accountants tend to underprice, or I shouldn't even say tend to underprice, they do underprice, I find it quite interesting to get underneath this pricing thing inside the accounting industry. So what I'm focusing on now for the next year, and certainly longer if need be, is gaining a much deeper understanding of the pricing mechanisms, the pricing tolerance for accountants, for business owners, the best methodologies for different situations, and the psychology of pricing and money, so that I can better support my clients to take longer strides sooner, so that we can really stretch them and get them moving even faster than they're moving now. I mean, my clients will typically triple their rates and or their income in 16 weeks of working together. So that's 16, 20 weeks. So I'll give you a quick example. One of my clients, we started working together, same deal, hamster wheel, way too many clients, working every single weekend, wanted her time back more than anything, didn't care about making more money, wanted her time back. She has a little one. What we found out was that she was great at doing advising for around stock options for high-level managers inside tech companies that were going to go public. And that she could do scenario planning for these individuals who were about to receive a windfall but had no idea what the tax implications were for that, and had no idea if they should hold or sell or when, and so on. And when we once we figured out how to package that service, her initial price on that was $2,500, which she thought almost gave her a heart attack. She sold a few, got comfortable, bumped it up to $5,000. Then I just heard from her, sold her next one at $7,500, and the guy didn't even bat an eye when she said it was $7,500. She almost fell on the floor, and she thought, he didn't even blink. I probably could have sold it for $10,000. And I asked her if she'd been billing hourly, what do you think she would have priced? What do you think she would have been the price for the service? And
Oh
she
boy.
said, probably $1,000 to $1,200.
Yeah.
Right. So pricing is the single biggest thing that you can do the fastest to make a meaningful difference. So what I really want to focus on and really get a much better handle on, even though I already have a handle on it, is where, what can the prices be for things so that we can get accountants off of this hourly billing, which is tragic. It should be illegal. You laugh, but it does a disservice. It is so bad for your clients because when price exceeds value, it's not worth it to your clients, and the clients don't know what the price is until after they've bought and received the service. It should be illegal. And yet it continues to persist in the accounting industry for reasons I don't yet understand. So I want to get under this pricing thing because in a more meaningful way, because of the difference that it makes, and because clients, business owners get better service when you charge them more. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's good for your clients when you charge them more.
You want to do the work.
Because they get better service, and they are so irritated vying for the attention of their accountant who they cannot get a hold of, and they have to email 3 times to get their 2019 returns, and or get any number of things. But I hear countless business owners complain about how they can't, they've given up on trying to get in touch with their accountants. They can't get a hold of them.
Yeah.
And so it's good for your clients when you charge them more, but getting accountants and CPAs to understand that is a 180 in thinking. So anyways,
it's very, very simple. When you're paid more for the services that you're providing and you're paid well, you're more inclined to take and exceed the expectations of the client because you want to over deliver and you want to do the work. You're excited to do the work because you're being paid well to do the work. When you're underpaid, you basically gravitate to the ones that are paying you better, and you start to push away from you those that aren't paying you well, and therefore they're neglected, and they're actually the ones that become frustrated. What we want to do is get you paid well so that you are excited to do the work because you're getting paid well for the services that you're providing. You're now getting paid what you're worth. And so I love what you were just sharing. That's so important. As for pricing, it's always a healthy discussion. It's something like you were describing. It's one of the quickest places that you can usually see a return on the services that we're able to offer to the accounting profession, because that's where you see a change implemented that now results in additional revenue coming in. And so it's a great place to start. I love what you're saying about that. So let me have you now answer the second part of that question, which is a personal goal. What personal goal do you have for yourself?
Look, I say this and I realize the story behind it, but I come from a family of people who love to work. And my own goal for myself is to work 20 hours a week, and that is it. So starting my business takes 40, 50 hours a week. I'm regularly down to 30 now. And if I can get to 20 by April, that would be a huge win. So in my intro, it said, and I even sent this to you yesterday, that I live in Missoula, Montana. And I sent that to you yesterday, but I moved to Sun Valley, Idaho a week ago.
Oh.
My head hasn't caught up to my physical reality. And we live 6 minutes from the bottom of the ski lift. And what I'm working on now is to walk the talk for my clients that they too do not have to toil 40 hours, 50 hours a week in order to have the life that they want to have. My goal is to model that. I've gotten down to 30 hours a week. My goal is to ski every day, every weekday, before or after work, all winter long, to show that you can make a great living, you can provide enormous value to your clients, which I do, and you can have the life that you want to live and work the hours that you predetermine, right? So I have a couple of those boxes checked, and the goal now is 20 hours a week, ski every single weekday through the end of the ski season.
Love it.
You and I will have to talk again at the end of April to see how I did.
Oh yes, I definitely, and I'm here in Utah, where the greatest snow is on the earth. So I'm identifying with what you're saying about skiing every day. So that's wonderful. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to summarize a few of the things that we've been discussing so far, and then ask Geraldine to share a final thought. But before I do that, just a quick reminder of the sponsors. It's Universal Accounting Center making available to you the book In the Black. It is the 9 principles to make your business profitable and the things that you can be doing in the short term, midterm, and long term to actually work on your business to make profit deliberate and intentional. And these same principles are ones that you can now actually take to your clients and help them implement in their businesses specific strategies and principles that they can use, seeing you as their trusted strategic advisor. Now, with that in mind, go to the episode description and you'll get your copy of the book there so that you can actually implement these strategies in your company as you work on your business. Now, with that being said, as a summary, I love this perspective. Obviously, Geraldine's coming at this as a consultant, a business coach to accounting professionals, not being an accountant herself. And that's the same as myself. I actually come at this from a marketing and sales background. And so my story is very similar. And what I really appreciated from her perspective is the fact that as accounting professionals, what we tend to find is that we kind of miss the boat on giving the information to the business owner to help them make more informed business decisions and make them in a timely manner and do so with a forward-thinking perspective. We need to make sure that the information we're giving them allows them to confidently make the decisions they need to be making in their business so that they can see the value of the accounting information so that it's actually a key part of their business model, their decision making. The other thing that I thought was helpful is she shared a lot of the things that she's passionate about, particularly the things that we can focus on as accounting professionals to make sure we're getting paid what we're worth, starting with pricing. I thought that was an excellent end cap to what it was we were talking about, simply because pricing can be such an influential part of what we do. I think it's reflective of our confidence in the services that we offer. If we don't think very much of what we can do, we tend to not see the value in what we're offering, and therefore we don't charge as much. So what we want to do is empower ourselves to get paid what we're worth and charge appropriately. And in the example that she shared of someone going from 2,500 to 5,000 to 7,500, realize that it's not the task, the hourly task that we perform, it's the value we bring to the discussion. It's all the years and energy of education, of experience that we're bringing to the table. I think of it as an example in there's a Henry Ford story of where a mechanic came in to fix an assembly line. The manufacturing plant was down and wasn't operating. And long story short, I'm not going to give you the story, but basically when the bill came, the bill was extraordinary for the few minutes the person worked on the plant to get it back operational. And Henry Ford was kind of taken back by the amount of the fee for the service. And at the end of the day, it wasn't the time that was being paid for. It was the expertise to get that manufacturing plant up and running again. And that's what we're talking about here. How can you value your services to help your clients understand your worth? Now, with that being said, Geraldine, what final thoughts do you have to share?
So, look, I think accountants have gotten themselves unintentionally into their own accounting prison, and there are easy paths out. You've mentioned a number of them there in the summary, which you did brilliantly. If accountants want a quick primer on how to get their prices in line with where they need to be, and they don't want to read a 365-page book on understanding pricing theory, they can get my free PDF. It's Pricing for CPAs Made Simple. They can download it at shethinksbigcoaching.com/pricing. And the thing that I would leave accountants with is that you know that there is a pathway out of the accounting trap that gets created. And it is much easier than you think. It is right around the corner. It's right around the corner. You just need to go asking for it. No one's going to bring it to you. Go ask for it, and you can create a life and a business that you truly love.
Perfect. And you know what? I'm just going to make this even simpler. Send me, Geraldine, that link and a little explanation of what it is, and I'll put it in the episode description, and they'll just be able to go there and click on it and get what it is you're offering. I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to real quickly encourage you to listen to our other episodes. You can go to the episodes themselves that you find interesting, but more importantly, subscribe to the podcast, as each week we come out with new episodes with the experts to share with you things that you can be doing to work on your business, things that you can be doing to build the premier accounting firm in your area. So for that, I encourage you to subscribe, go listen to the other episodes. And obviously, for more information on how you can apply these principles in your business, please visit us at universalaccountingschool.com or give us a phone call at 801-265-3777. And always remember this, accounting success is universal. So with that in mind, take care, have a great day, and be safe out there.